highway tires scream the night. Quick walls, exclusive interview that's cutting through the fight. Mike and hand the hot rod engine roaring through the dust. Every question like a gunshot racing through the rust. Down that lonely highway, tires scream the night. Quick one's exclusive interview, let's cutting through the fight. Mike and hand like a hot rod, right engine roaring through the dusk. Every question like a gunshot racing through the rust. Face to face with truth uncovered, raw and burning wild. Eyes locked tight like mirrors, grinning devil's crooked smile. Thunder in the distance, pistons pump to fierce delight. Words collide like metal clashes, boxing night, the night, the night. Faster, faster to the finish line, no looking back. Drag race revelation high on adrenaline's crack. Heartbeats pounding louder than 1,000-engine scream. One-on-one exclusive like a twisted fever dream. Each answer rests the motor, dangerous and hot. Truth explodes like shrapnel in this verbal fire slot. Journalist and rocket duel like warriors in the climb. Captured in the crossfire, trapped in the wheels of time. Every sentence blazes trust through dark and gnarly turns. Burning rubber, soul to soul, heated secrets burns. Headlights blinding future past a blurry neon light. In the drag race interview, the truth comes into sight. Faster, faster to the finish line, no looking back. Drag race revelation high on adrenaline's crack. Heartbeats pounding louder than 1,000-engine scream. One-on-one exclusive like a twisted fever dream. Faster to the finish line, no looking back. Drag race revelation high on adrenaline's crack. Heartbeats pounding louder than 1,000-engine scream. One-on-one exclusive like a twisted fever dream. Each answer earth, don't looking back. Drag race revelation on adrenaline's crack. Heartbeats pounding louder than 1,000-engine scream. One-on-one exclusive like a twisted fever dream. Fever dream.
Today is the beginning of the end, and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to redefine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and unbelievers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you're the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome, 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 folks. Time to get it going. We're live 5x5. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this out of the way. We're gonna do some talking today, mostly about business and some financial stuff and the things we talk about during the daytime. I'm really not going to get too much into politics. I think the Matt Gaetz thing is really interesting. All of the different the things that happen, and I think a lot of the response to that has been. I think it's very interesting because I honestly think that it was intended. His nomination and all, drawing the attention to him, actually was a coordinated effort on the part of the administration to pull all that into the light, because I think that they understand that the players involved are absolute nut jobs, and they want to expose them for the nut jobs that they are. I love it. I think it's awesome. I can't honestly get enough of it. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I think it's a pretty good deal. Welcome to everybody in the chat. We've got quite a few people in here today. Mikey Balls, I see you there. I was running a little late today, guys. I do apologize. At the end of the day, I had a lot. Yesterday I wasn't able to get a whole lot done, and needed to, so I had to make it up this morning. I was running around town until late, and unfortunately, as Kevin was so nice to say, that I would actually be a little bit late today. So let's see who's out there in the chat. Kevin L., good to see you, buddy. Charles Darwin, Australian guy in the house. Damien from the Parkour Guy. If you've not watched Damien's channel, you owe it to yourself to do so. It is actually really good. Mikey Balls in the house. I see you there. Ticky Tack. Good to see you, sir. Good morning to you. Craig M. Good to see you. I'm not sure you're normally up at this hour, but I do appreciate it. Mr. Boulay in the Department of Numismatics sounding off, and Mr. in the house. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So, where was I? So I don't know if you guys saw the blow up over Matt Gaetz this weekend. It was quite entertaining. I guess not really the weekend, over the holiday. It was quite entertaining because all of this stuff has been debunked several times. It's not like the guy hasn't already proven that this stuff is wrong, right? Like he's being blackmailed and all of this kind of stuff. If you go back and look, there's several videos that outline how that woman has recanted her story. Who was supposedly 17 at the time. We're not really sure if she was. She's recanted her story. She's talked several times about how sorry, my dog's at my door. She wants in. I'm not going to let her in. But Gaetz talks about how his family's been blackmailed for $25 million. The FBI supposedly has recordings of that by someone from the DOJ. Whoa. We got Mikey Balls coming in here. Salute to you, sir. $9.99 coming in from Mikey Balls. Merry Griftmas, Grid. I hope you spent time with your loved ones. I absolutely did. You may have noticed I took several days off, and it was worth every minute of it. I was watching you guys that soldiered on through. Mikey, I caught a couple of your shows. You've been doing a great job with the news. And one of the reasons why I don't go into the news as much as I used to is Mikey does such a great job of it, and he's on right before me. So, guys, if you're not watching and you're not following Mike, you need to do so. His presenting of the news and the information that he is sourcing it stays on top of it, and it's worth the watch. And he doesn't take all day to do it, which I think is very important. Beaten Cheeks is in the house. What's up, my friend? I didn't see you come in, Beaten Cheeks. What's up, buddy? Matt Getz loves his hooker like he loves his Coke, pure and white. I mean, that's a joke, but I didn't see that. I didn't do that. So that's so that's one of the reasons why I don't do the news as much anymore, guys. Mikey does a great job of presenting the news. Whoa, Mr. dropped a big PayPal on me, or Cash App, I think. Yeah, Cash App. Dropped a big one. That's awesome. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Just says for the happy holidays. Thank you so much, Mr. Mister. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. So we're going to go back to this. I'm going to get back into this Getz thing I'm briefly going to cover the Getz thing. The two things that are interesting is this girl has been in court and under oath admitted that he never paid her for anything. If anything, he gave her a gift of money for nothing. And they never had any kind of relations or anything like that. And she's currently in prison for lying about having sex with men and basically kind of ruin their lives. And she's in prison for that right now. And yet everyone's trying to give her any kind of notoriety or any semblance of trust in her word. She has defrauded several people and made false claims multiple times. Beaten Cheeks this is a girl that under Beaten Cheeks law would be in jail, and she currently is, for trying to get men in trouble. And that's unacceptable, guys. Can't do that. So don't do that. We do need more independent media out there, guys. And Mikey Balls actually is a great one. If you again watch his show, guys, I watch his show. It's pretty good. It's pretty good time. So, Damon, she is currently in jail. That's the thing, is she's in jail for the very thing they're trying to say that she was being honest about, which, by the way, she's already testified in court that she never did anything. He never paid her. She didn't consider herself a sex worker. She just hung out with all of these really powerful people, apparently probably trying to meet a really powerful person that could pay for her college or something. I don't know. I don't know what her motivation was, but she's already said all of this. It's literally lies. The entire article that was released is just a pack of lies. It's just a pack of lies, guys. It's really crazy. When you look into it, when you look at the facts, there's a lot of information floating out there regarding this exact same thing. It's crazy what this woman has been able, what people are saying this woman has said, that she herself has said, I never said that. Do you understand how fucked up this is? This is like me. This is the way the left works. Getz Cheeks is right on the money. Getz he is brutal. And I love him for it. He's a brutal guy, and he absolutely is. I believe that he is he's absolutely he's just they can't compromise him in any way. So, and I think Cheeks, you're right. Cheeks is right on the money. Right on the money. Yeah, he would have made a phenomenal head of DOJ. But I think that this whole thing was a plot to get all of this stuff exposed. There's got to be something bigger in the works for Getz, and I'm excited to see how this goes down. I really am, guys. I'm really really excited to see how it goes down. So that's interesting. So Getz was in the news. Obviously, all of the various action that's going on in all of the war theaters throughout the world, that stuff's pretty interesting. We've got some movement in different areas on. We got some movement in different areas on. Trump has talked about withdrawing from NATO or the United Nations or both. There's a lot of crying on both sides of the aisles about that. Most of the crying seems to be coming from the Democrats who, for whatever reason, are very, very concerned that if we remove ourselves from the United Nations, they're not going to get quite the kickbacks that they get now from the various foreign countries that currently provide them with massive kickbacks. We all understand that. It's nothing new. It's just business as usual, guys. Defund NATO, the UN, absolutely, and the EU, absolutely. We need to quit spending money in foreign places. Just period. Like, we just shouldn't do that. Like, that should be like the thing to do. Number one is stop spending money outside the US that we don't have to spend. So, and I'm all for that. I'm an isolationist to some degree. I believe trade. Hey, man, if we can make money, great. If we can't, no, we're not. We don't need to prop up puppet regimes. We don't need to do all of these things. There's no advantage for us at all. So why don't we do that? So that's interesting. I think that you guys should all look into this on your own. But I think what you're going to end up finding is that there's no shortage of proof that Getz is nothing more than a typical political guy who has people around him all the time, and he's not accountable for all of those people. So, yeah. Spend money at New Zealand. Okay. Well, I mean, tourism, we spend some movie money there. We'll do another Lord of the Rings. How about that? Does that help you out? Yeah. If there's no war, how are they supposed to skim money off the top? That is correct, Damien. Absolutely. 100%. They've got to skim that money off. Novel idea. Look after your own house first. Yeah, that's right. Darwin. That's a good Darwinism. I like that. Darwin. That's a very good Darwinism. So that's cool. But yeah, so let's and speaking of money, let's talk about how you make some money. So as I said last week, earlier this week, I guess it was Monday, went out, looked at the business in Knoxville that I'm looking to buy. Everything is checking out. Looks like we're not only going to buy the business, we're going to buy the property as well. And I found another business in the area that I'm considering adding to it as well. I'm waiting to hear back from the broker, or more than likely, that's not a broker. It's probably an owner. It's probably an owner who's selling his own business. And what we'll do is we'll see if we can't roll those things up into one, really cool business that will make us a bunch of money. I had a very interesting phone call earlier today with a business that I wouldn't normally be interested in, I don't think, but on the surface, at least, it looks very good. We might be able to do something with that, but more than likely, we're not going to be able to because of the dollar amounts involved. So we're just really trying to get it. I'm really trying to, I'm trying to share with you guys as much as I can without violating NDAs or my own interest, what it takes to actually buy a business and here's why. So a lot of guys think, well, I'll just go start my own business. And this happens a lot in like the truck and Mr. I'm sure has seen this happen. This happens in trucking with truck drivers a lot. This happens with mechanics a ton. Any kind of trade. A guy will get a little bit of money ahead, goes to work every day thinking, I can do this better than my boss can. I'm going to go open my own shop or, business or whatever. And they'll go out and buy a few trucks, or they'll buy some equipment, or they'll rent a shop, or whatever it is, or maybe all of the above. And they'll start trying to be a business. And yes, it's not 99%, it's like 80%. 10% actually succeed, 80% fail within the first couple of years. That the remaining 5 or 10% barely make it beyond 5 years. The reason for this is you really have to understand what it takes to run a business, and most people simply don't. And most people simply don't want to. And there's no reason for a lot of people to understand it at all. It is, however, helpful to understand it, even if you're an employee, so you understand why you're getting paid what you're getting paid, and then you can ask your boss for a raise. You know how to talk to your boss or your employer or whatever, and understand what it takes to get paid, why you're getting paid that, why you're not getting paid what you think you should get paid, and all of the above. For example, let's just say that you have a business and you bill net 30 or net 45. So when you send out that invoice, they have 30 days to pay it. Just like you have 30 days to pay your electric bill. Same deal. Well, a lot of times the contractor will submit that. So if you're dealing with a contractor, or you're dealing with a freight company or a delivery service, a service center, so that you send it off to the contractor, or you're sending your bill to the service writer or whatever, and that person then sends it to the customer, the client, whoever they're providing, whoever they're doing it for, whether that's a business, whether that's an individual, whether it's a management company, whatever it is. Those people usually tend to have 15 days to pay it. So more than likely, for the work that you have paid your employees for today on, let's just say it's Friday, you're writing checks. The work that you pay all your employees for today, you may not get paid for, you may not be able to get paid for that for 45 days. And you have to, yeah, man, what happened there? That was weird. My autofocus is really jacking up today. I may have to go fix that. Let's see what we got here. That gonna help any? It does that a lot of times when it can't find my eyes, and which is why I try really hard to not have this happen. All right, give me one sec, guys. I'm gonna cam down and fix this. I'll try and keep talking. While I'm doing this, I'm almost at the end of my monologue. If we've got some guys who want to come up and talk stuff, that'd be great. So if we have mods, I saw Mr. Boulay, I saw Michelle. I'm not sure who else is in the house. If the mods could go ahead and see if anybody wants to come up and get, I will get the link out to the mods in a minute, and we'll get some people coming up. So let's get rolling on that while I'm fixing my camera. All right, there we go. Got it back. I say I do. There we go. Yep, good. Yeah, I gotta. Sorry, guys, I fell down on the job, and I need to get the link out to the moderators. Put this in the moderator chat. We'll talk about that in 1 second, Ticky Tack. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you out this morning. So let me go to my mods chat. The link is in the mod chat. All right. Let me scroll up here and see what we got going on. What do we got? Jess White has entered the building. Yeah, 99%. All right, so I found that. GM Glare. Yeah, I got it. Oh, that's a good morning, Glare. I got you. Yeah, it's in the mod. The link is currently in the mod chat over on the Discord. So ticky tack. This is actually a really important point. So one thing that's holding back the shop is the lack of the ability to support long-term contracts. There are construction, industry, industrial farming, and manufacturing needing side-by-side serviced regularly. I got you. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, big contracts is a real deal, but you've got to have the capital. You got to have your working capital has to be right. And just for example, one of the businesses that I'm looking at, their working capital for 45 days, which is about what they cycle through, right? They cycle through about every 45 days is their current pay cycle, but they could float they could have a 90-day float. So if we're looking at a 90-day float, that could be, for this specific business, could be $250,000. And so you have to have that cash on hand. Otherwise, what happens is you can't pay your employees at the end of the week. You can't pay your line of credit with whatever supplier you have. And most real businesses must have lines of credit. Now, this is something that I find that a lot of small businesses, especially with 1 to 5, 1 to 8 employees, tend to underutilize. Is they'll get offered a line of credit by, let's just pick on my old industry, auto repair. So you'll get an auto, like I had a line of credit which was net 60, right? Or no, net 45. So I bill a customer I order parts, I bill a customer today, the customer pays me today, I put that money all goes into the same account. Every 45 days I pay off my line of credit. So the line of credit will, I paid that, and I just would pay that off at the end of every 45 days. And what that allowed me to do is I wasn't dependent every week on, I was able to really make sure my employees got paid, make sure that all of the bills for the shop got paid on time. And then we were able to make things happen and grow. And a lot of businesses, like I'm assuming the side-by-side business that that Tiki Tack is talking about, probably are not really taking advantage of their lines of credit and really have their AR schedules lined out. Now, I'm sure that Imperius is laughing about this because as a corporate lawyer, they deal in this all the time. And understanding when the money's coming in and when the money is going out is very important. And most small business owners do not take the time to understand it because they're far too focused on making work happen that they lose sight of is that making sure that the money is there to keep your people paid and keep your lines of credit open and keep those parts coming is way more important. And you have to be sure that you can take care of that. If you can't, it's just, there's no good. There's no upside if you don't have that in place. there is no, and look, I'm a pay cash as much as possible kind of guy. And I used to, and one of the things about my shop is I never like to have more than about $5,000 or so in actual debt at any given time. And that's back then. I mean, $10,000, $15,000 was a lot, but when you're doing, what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the line of credit. The line of credit could have $80,000 on it, but that's money that we can build. That's money that we had in place. Hey, what's up, Mister Mister? That's the money that we had already built, and I didn't really consider that debt. I'm sorry. I can hear you.
No, nothing. I'm just
Oh, you're lagged real
fixing
bad.
my stuff.
Yeah, you're lagged real bad. You were like, say something.
How's it going?
That's a lot of lag. Like you said something, and then
All right.
like a minute later, I heard you. Like I could see your mouth move. That was impressive, actually. So Ticky Tack says the owner is very bad with paperwork and finances, but he's also very hesitant to let anyone else manage it. Yeah, that is a recipe for disaster. That is one of the things that I've run into so many times in basically every small business that I've ever looked at whether we were going to buy it, whether we were going to take it over, whatever was going to happen. Owners, they're really good at what they do, not good businessmen. Those are two somewhat different skills.
I'm gonna try and come back in real quick.
Yeah, do that because it's really it's interesting, but it's also kind of annoying. Come on in, man. So Ticky Tack, what you're talking about is exactly the kind of the death knell of what happened. That's how businesses die, right? That's exactly how businesses die. Now they can run for decades like that. So let's see if that's better.
Yeah. How's this?
A little better. You're freezing now, though. I think you must be in an area with horrible signal.
How about now?
Well, your voice is fine. Yeah.
It might be the cam thing, but yeah, I just wanted to wish you happy holidays and
yeah, man. Hey, I really appreciate the Cash App, man. That was awesome of you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I like, I hope a few of you guys that have your channels that you do media or cover political topics. I really want to see you guys grow this year because the libtards are going to be coming back with a vengeance in the next year or two. So
they already are. They already are.
Yeah. So as far as the Gates thing goes, though, that woman being incarcerated or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody was reporting on it.
I know.
So
that's what's crazy.
Yeah.
She's literally in ridiculous. Prison right now for lying about having sex with men. She's literally in jail for that. Nobody even brought it up. Nobody even mentioned it.
Oh yeah. But they'll now here's the thing about these slimy Democrats. For the next 4 years, however, they'll reference that and they'll be like, oh, he was found guilty and there was no recourse or whatever. When, the source, if we didn't look this stuff up, how many people how would it get out? And how would people find out about this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Nobody would. Nobody. That's the insidious thing is that the entire press release the other day was literally horrible. Like it was beyond bad. It was beyond bad. It was literally like, sorry, I'm messing with my lights. It's beyond bad because all of that stuff has been debunked. And we're not talking about this was debunked last week. We're talking about last year, the year before, it is a long time ago, and they just keep regurgitating it. They let it kind of die down, and then they bring it right back up like it's news. Like when that press release was put out last night, I honestly thought it was a new incident, and I looked at it and I'm like, this is the same girl from last year.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, before we get some more people up, I just have to say one thing about the subject, because I you know, I like when other people come up, I don't want to talk over anybody, but so there was a document released about how they implicated Gates, right? There was a setup, and the government was involved, and I'm guessing that they do this to Congress people to kind of have a file on them to say like, hey, play ball with us or we'll release blah blah blah. So what they did was they set up some kind of like operation in order to get him, and Trump was involved in a weird way. He was with in a mix up with the same people that Gates was at the time. And the difference is Gates kind of took the bait and Trump didn't. So I think what we're seeing is Gates
I think Gates
protecting
was trying to
Trump.
set them up, though. I think, he had his dad wear a wire. The FBI is not releasing that. He reported it to the FBI, where Trump was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, get out of my face. I feel like Gates was trying to be tactical. Like he was like, I'm going to catch you fuckers, right? And that's what I kind of feel like. I kind of feel like that's what happened, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
I read the document. I read the document, and see, Trump was hanging out with the same people. It was kind of like Gates was trying to do a reverse hit job on them, and it didn't work.
Right.
But I'm thinking that Gates didn't want to get drag Trump's name into it, and that's why he was like, I can't, because the more of that stuff that would come out, they would find out that they tried the same thing on Trump that they did on Gates. But the difference is,
I think Gates is using this as a hand grenade. I think he pulled the pin 6 months ago, or 8 months, whenever I guess it's been almost a year. The Gates pulled the pin, and it's just been a slow burn. And then Trump put him in for DOJ, knowing that that's going to bring up all this stuff right back up to the top. Trump has to know. Somebody has to have told Trump that the woman that's in question is currently in prison for fraudulently accusing men of assault and sex for money and all of that. Somebody, that all has to have been known before Trump did the DOJ thing. He's not. So I think that all of this, I think either it's just dumb luck, right? And Trump just did this without meaning it. But I think it's more likely that this is all a hand grenade thrown out to get the Democrats to jump on it and point at it and say, look, and it's going to blow up in their face.
I hope so.
That's kind of what I mean. I kind of have to think it's that way, because you can't be this stupid as a Democrat to know all of this. Well, although most of the time, I guess I shouldn't give Democrats as much, or leftists this much credit, but I think that most of the time they do understand what's going on, but they also drink their own Kool-Aid a lot, and they could really think that they've got Trump on something that they don't have him on at all. So we'll see.
What's up, Tiki Tack?
Hey, how's it going?
What's new, man?
Not much. I got an Epic Wi-Fi setup now. I went to I bought a bunch of corporate level, enterprise level switches and stuff, and I'm getting all that set up.
Yeah, Garrus, I just haven't shaved in the last couple of days. I've been busy. I cooked all day yesterday. I just didn't feel like shaving, man. I just didn't feel like it. So,
How was your holiday?
and it's been great. It was very relaxing. I
Mhm.
do all the holiday cooking at my house, but yesterday I made my son do it. My 14-year-old. I supervised, but
Nice.
I'm like, hey man, you gotta. I'm like, from start to finish, you're in it to win it. And I made him do it, and he did. He actually did really well. Now it was simple. It wasn't it wasn't super complex, but it was a simple meal. Good food. The only thing that kind of went sideways was when he put the sweet potato casserole in to caramelize the top. He had it. It was actually on broil. We were setting it up on broil to finish off a pork loin roast, and he didn't think it would heat up that fast, and it actually caught the marshmallows on fire. So
Sweet.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to rescue him on that one, but it because I was like, how long do you have it in there with that on 550? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh. So I rescued him on that one, and we were able to remove uh, the properly campfired marshmallows, and
It's a
we
flambe now.
it's flambéed, and so we got that. Put new marshmallows on, recaramelized them, worked great. It was a great meal, and my 4-year-old got like a million um, toys. My 14-year-old got all the stuff that he wanted. My wife made sure of it, including 2 sweaters from Ireland, which were hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
It's hilarious to think that he is like, why don't we just get sweaters from here? But like, wait 2 weeks to get a sweater. I guess that's okay. Fortunately, Ireland's it's cheap to buy a sweater there. So,
Yeah,
but
I had my 2 kids. One got sick. They had a stomach
mm,
bug that was
yeah,
passing. So one got better. Then the
mm,
other one got sick and projectile
that works.
vomited all over me.
Ugh.
Yeah, okay.
So
I can name that tune.
yeah.
I can name that tune in 2 notes. Yeah. So yeah, and I've been working a lot. Just this is the year of the business, and so we're trying to get I'm trying to get everything set um, for the business work. And I think we're going to go to the lake house this weekend because we haven't been there. We haven't been there all year, and so we had a renter in it for a good portion of the year. And then I'm going to go and I got to take care. I was going to go tomorrow and take care of the boat and stuff. I got some stuff to do up there. And my wife's like, "Why don't we all go? We haven't been there in a while." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." So
Well, I got you
yeah,
for a
man,
second. I just want to be a little selfish, just to ask
yeah,
one
man,
question because I need
yeah,
to get your opinion on this because
absolutely.
it it's going unchecked in the independent media like space, but
Mhm.
this narrative that you see Tim Pool was covering it. They're going to be clamping down on independent media soon because I brought it up on Jess White's channel and on Mikey Balls, but they at one point had control of the social media spaces. Okay, so when Trump won in 2024, they kind of lost it, and
Mhm.
now they're it's like they reverse course, and now they're going to try and clamp down on it. Whether it's the um, Australia ban, X being completely banned from I think it was Brazil or Spain. So you know when it comes to like shadow banning people, I don't know, and they kind of sent a message out to all these lefties like we need more of you guys because they're upset with Rogan. You know,
Oh yeah, they got to be really angry with Rogan.
yeah. So I don't know. I just wanted to get your opinion because when you bring it up with certain groups, they don't want to see it. It's not that they're bad faith; they just don't see it yet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know. look, I don't know, man. I feel like that it's a in the I see a lot of US creators that talk about um especially political things. They seem to be having more trouble than they've had with their channel. I know that I was you know, I've had multiple people now tell me that they're not getting the notifications, that um, they're they were subscribed, now they're not, and then they resubscribe again. Which a lot of that is just YouTube being YouTube. YouTube does that. It's it's not necessarily anyone that YouTube's picking on me, but at the same time, man, it's it's so it's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah, because you were growing pretty fast for like I remember that like a
Yeah.
month straight. You were really
Well, I was
pushing the
running a lot of
numbers.
promotions then too, but even then, even at that, I was still like so the last 2 months have been flat, but prior to that, well, I noticed it last month, so I shouldn't say the last 2 months. Last month, about mid-month, it just is like all of a sudden it just fell off the face of the earth. I went from having, somewhere between 50 and 80 people um, live, and then having a fair number of views, to 25 to 40 live, and afterwards not having very many views. So again, I don't know what it is. I know Michelle said that she thought I was shadow banned. I don't really know what that actually means still to this day. I've even looked it up on YouTube, well, I've done a Google search to see what shadow banning actually is. I still don't know. All I know is that I have people come in at the end of my show saying, "I wish I'd known you were on," and they're people that have subscribed. So is there something that YouTube's doing? I don't know. Is there something that maybe somebody is using some YouTube tool of reporting? And I mean, look, the month that I had the big fallout, and I haven't actually tracked it. I guess I could really quick. I could jump over here really quick and see what the reality is. But I don't normally track it, but I noticed 1 month I had 100 people in a month unsubscribe, which
Yeah, that's
I've never seen that happen. It's like 105 people, and then which is nuts. And I'm like, well, did they all just not like my stuff? And I was like, maybe, could be. Did YouTube trim them? I've heard that YouTube does that. Um, the so that started me thinking about it. I was, the man, I don't know. It's a tough answer right now. I don't really know what's going on. And I don't know that anybody else knows what's going on either. You look at guys like Andrew. Andrew's big enough now. He's over 100,000 subscribers that he doesn't seem to get messed with that much. Plus, he plays an interesting game with YouTube, which I wish I could follow, but I'm not smart enough. But let's see let me go to a studio here and see what it says.
So I'm seeing a spike towards the end of October
Yeah.
on your channel.
Yeah.
Could that be related to a viral video that came out during
Yeah,
that time?
I did promotions, right? Like I did 3 or 4 promotions in a row. And I posted the data. I got mass amounts of subscribers during that. But like I've had 37 people unsubscribe in the last 28 days, which is probably part of the 100 that is it. That's probably including the 100 or so. And then, if I look, like my watch time in hours has dropped like a lot. The revenue went through the floor. which is really interesting. Like all of it. My average view duration went down. Views have gone. I mean, literally, like every metric has gone down. And I don't think I've really pissed anybody off. Like I don't think I've really like you know made did something that made people want to run away. But it's a very interesting thing, and I don't know how much of this is YouTube. I don't know how much of this is maybe people are just tired of listening to my nonsense, which is certainly possible. Um,
Well,
the
I'm trying to think of like the rational arguments versus like the conspiratorial ones. Not to say that YouTube shadow ban is conspiratorial, but I know that their channels have had massive dips like right after the election. Any like places that are political, people kind of tuned it out now that the election is over. And yeah, that's a pretty common trend, and you'll see it pick back up towards January. So there's that factor. Also, it's holiday seasons, and it seems like the demographic you attract are the ones that typically have like families, have money, and then during holiday season, they're usually just busy through November and December.
And I think that's part of it too. I mean, it really is. I mean, I have a lot of people who come in and they'll be in for like 10 or 15 minutes, like, hey, just catching you on my way through or whatever. And I get that. But it's just an interesting, it was such a sharp downturn, and the number of subs lost was just crazy.
So on the subs lost, I probably don't have the exact metrics, but it looks like there was like minus 100. But that doesn't count like the difference of like how many lost versus how many gained. I don't have those exact metrics.
Yeah, I was gaining. I had pretty much stopped. When that happened, and I'll have to go back and make sure that I'm right. But when that happened, I had basically leveled out, evened out, right? Like I had this massive spike because I was doing the promotions and I had viral videos out there and all of that. And then it kind of evened off, and it, wasn't, and instead of gaining, almost 1,000 subs a day in some cases, I was just gaining one or two. And so it's even, it's just flowing along. And all of a sudden it was like 100 subs just dropped in like, basically it was one. Let me look because I don't want to lie. I'm pretty sure that the way that the subs went down, it was literally like one day I lost 100 subs, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's always good to like look across to other channels to see how they're performing and see if it's just kind of a trend across the board or if it's unique to you. And so I'm doing a little bit of that right now.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this stuff that's going on in the Middle East? I mean, do you think we're going to take the bait and mess with Iran, or?
I don't think Biden has enough time to do it. Does that make sense? Like, I think Trump's going to get in there. I don't think Trump's going to take the bait. I don't think Trump has any I don't think Trump has any real desire to go to war, and there's a
well, he told him, you have till January 20th to release the hostages or you're in trouble, which I'm okay with, right? We get our guys back, but I'm just worried that with the Syria stuff, he's going to get our guys back and then just make a teardrop turn and go right into, the nonsense, which I'm hoping doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? I mean, so I think Trump is not a send a bunch of people over there, boots on the ground guy. when he says we're going to get, you have 28 days or else, what he's talking about is he's going to send over 3 teams and they're going to kill all your top officials and they're going to leave. His idea of this has historically been you send a specialist to deal with a special problem.
Yeah.
We're not, we're not building a building over there, right? We don't need to send a whole crew. We just need to send a couple of guys, take care of it, come home. And historically, that's been the way he's done everything so far, right? I think I'm right on that. He's never really like
Yeah. No, Soleimani.
Yeah,
remember
he
him?
doesn't send a platoon if 10 guys can do the job, right? And I think that's what he means when he says you're in trouble. And I think that's, first of all, I think that's really smart. Second, I think Trump, probably more than anyone else, has this very, what's the word I'm looking for? He has a very modern way of viewing warfare. To him, he doesn't need to go kill 10,000 Syrians. He only needs to kill 4. And that's what he wants. And that's what he's going to go do. So I don't know. I don't want to predict, because he could, as a show of force, send in a bunch of C-132s with, 500, end up with 500 troops over there in a matter of 72 hours and, have the Marines over there just, kicking everybody in the nuts. But I don't think he will. I think Biden will. I think Biden 100% is chomping at the bit to send 10,000 troops back into Syria.
Yeah. Well, we already got 2,000 there. There was 3 stories in particular about the Iran narrative that I'm kind of, Mikey and a few other channels we're looking at where, like, you take the second unaliving attempt, they blame that one on Iran during the drone. The drone crap, they said that Iran had a ship off the coast. Then more recently, the wonderful mainstream media losers, every other question now is, hey, Mr. Trump, what do you think about Iran's nuclear capabilities? So, we can kind of tell that where they're trying to lead him, but I'm because and the thing is not that I care what they do out there for the most part. It's just we don't need another 600 billion spent on air quotes humanitarian aid. It'll cause damage to the economy. So
yeah, I just don't think Biden can get it done before he has to give it up. I think, well, first of all, because the transition's already in process, right? Like the key people that he needs to be in power are already being let go, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think 8 weeks ago it would have been 100%. We would already be, like they would already be flying troops off of the decks of aircraft carriers. Marines would already be.
Yeah. I think we got lucky because it's like we've been ahead of the libtards every step of the way by a little bit, and to your point, like if they had caught up with us during the election, it might have been a little bit different. We might have not had control of the House, maybe. And now with this stuff, I'm glad we've been just a little bit ahead every step of the way because we could be in a different spot if we weren't.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's a what am I trying to think about here? So I just don't see it. I don't see us getting drawn into a war. I don't see it. It's just like this nonsense with Putin and Ukraine, right? Like, did you see the guy the other day? He was on Patrick Bet David, right? And he was on his podcast. It's this Ukrainian guy who used to be a high up there that's now cast out because he doesn't believe in the gospel of Zelensky. And he said that he was asked, PBD asked him, who do you trust more, Zelensky or Putin? And he said Putin, 100%. Yeah, and I agree the whole time. Like Zelensky's a criminal, and I like the fact that Trump has identified Zelensky as a criminal and someone that to be dealt with at the proper time. So I'm very much encouraged by the fact that Trump is taking office and we're not having a continuation of Biden's White House. I think that everyone should thank their lucky stars that we won. We weren't cheated out of this election, that we do not have we do not have camel toe in place. Everyone needs to seriously understand the magnitude of grace that we've been given, that Trump is taking over the White House. You don't even have to like Trump. You can think that he's not going to accomplish anything for the next 4 years except talk to himself in the mirror. And that would be totally fine with me, because the one thing that's not going to happen is we're not going to have 10,000 troops back in the sandbox.
Yeah.
We're going to be pulling
Yeah.
I think we have 7,000 troops or something like that, 7,000 to 8,000 troops currently in the stands, and we're going to start pulling those out, which I 100%, I'm behind that 100, that needs to happen. And I would honestly, I would love to see Trump, once all the troops are gone, I'd love to see Trump say, okay, you guys fight it out. Don't call us, we'll call you. And then just leave it. Just leave the whole deal, and let them fight over it, and we'll deal with whoever's left, right? Or we won't. Either way, we win. That's the only way we win this. Like, there's no other way we win. We
Yeah.
can send thousands and thousands of troops and hundreds of pounds of bombs and peacekeeper missions, and we could send, every single church. We could send every single church over there and witness, and we could do all of that. And it's not going to matter, because they don't care. They're bad people.
I want to
And-
step back to one of the subjects. So you're following on your channel. It seems like that everybody who's like somewhat politically related had that like spike in November, and now just kind of a collapse over the rest of the year.
And I hope you're right about that. I really do.
So I just looked up Fabian Liberty, Rob Knorr, Sarah the Raging Tomato. They're all kind of getting the same hits. The only difference between you and them is that they have kind of a more a larger cult following. So so they still have like viewership coming, while you are still in a growing phase. So essentially 90% of that subcategory of politics is now more than likely just not being recommended as much anymore. So you're taking a harder hit. So I would just say give it time, wait until next year, and I'm pretty sure things will pick up again.
You're probably right.
Are you familiar with Social Blade?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just running numbers on there.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, thanks for the distraction. But yeah, I just the 100. I didn't actually think anything about it. But Michelle, who's a mod, was like, I didn't get a notification. And it may be across the board. It may be across everybody. It is happening to everybody in this spectrum that we're in.
I don't get it. I don't get it till late too. Like, I mean, I don't know what it might just be a thing, but the same happens to me sometimes. Like, I'll see you, but it'll be like 20, 30 minutes in, and I'm like, what in the,
Well,
yeah, it's weird because I get obviously I'm subscribed to my own channel, and I will get it 30 minutes before the show.
I might have some insight on this. So, when it comes to YouTube, when they're building their algorithms, subscriptions just don't matter anymore. They've completely like removed it out of their algorithm to determine if a channel is like good or not. And it's all a cost to profit evaluation, because in order to send out those notifications, you're queuing servers to send them out. And they'll weigh out, okay, well, who is more valuable to us to send these notifications out for versus who is not. And you're more than likely on that very low priority list. So
Probably so.
yeah, it's your notifications are either going to come out delayed or just like not at all.
It's probably true.
I think
argue that.
I think this is why like a lot of channels have committed to growing their Discord following alongside with their YouTube, because it seems like the central place where people go to know when channels have started their streams.
Yeah, I normally spam the Discord as well, but yeah,
it takes time to grow, plain and simple.
Yeah. Titles do matter, and I probably need to spend. I used to spend a lot of time on that, and that is actually one of the things that's interesting. So yeah.
Well,
anyway,
the primary thing that came on. Want to go back to business?
Yeah, let's talk to business, man. Let's go back to business.
Yeah. So just a little primer. It's I worked for my boss. I started realizing that he's pretty bad with his like finances, paperwork, and things like that.
Sure.
Funny enough, after a year later, he admitted to me that he has difficulty reading because he's dyslexic. So that was like the main thing. I've always wanted to try to like help with this, because I'm pretty good at like estimating the numbers when it comes to cost of services, accounting for labor hours and things like that. And I'm pretty sure I'd be able to set up contracts in such a way where it would fit within our budgets while also having reasonably charged to the customer. But I just don't have access to the full overall scope of finances when it comes to the cost of running the building. If things are being overspent towards like tools purchasing, because I know he likes to buy tools. Yeah, so I think that's where my idea came in of, well, what if I just rent a bay out off of him? I have access to some specialized tools that he'll let me use while I can run my own business. So then I could keep finances separate and just feed him work, as, if I have more work coming in that caters to him.
Yeah, I got you. That's actually probably not a bad idea, to be honest. I got $9.99 coming in from Wrongful Rage. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Good to see you all. Stay blessed. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to adjust the TTS so it triggers at $9.99. A lot of people send $9.99. That must be like an Apple Pay or something like that, kind of one-touch thing. But it doesn't trigger the TTS when you do $9.99. So I'll have to change that so that it does. And thank you very much, Wrongful Rage, for sending that. Tiki-tac, the interesting thing is that I think a lot of business owners are that exact way.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way when because I was in the industrial park, so there's plenty of other like small businesses that were either doing like HVAC, muffler repair, auto repair, data wire, things like that. And I kind of learned that the business owners, they're not that great at finances and paperwork. A lot of them either hire somebody to do it for them, or they just think in the basic level of how much is going into their bank account versus coming out. And if the input is less than the output, they're doing something wrong and need to hustle more. But that could also become a detriment, because they may not understand the reason why that they're not recurring their revenue back.
Yeah, and I think and that's one of the things, right? Like everyone, it's very difficult for people to understand the idea of float why it's important to understand how much money is coming out of your account, why it's coming out of your account, why you're not getting paid on it, especially if you're doing stuff, as you were suggesting earlier, for that was weird. As you were suggesting earlier,
Construction, farming.
yeah, how much business that you could, in theory, get from the well, that was weird. How much business you could get through contract work, but contract work carries with it that idea that you're going to give them terms for 30 days or 45 days from a point of invoice.
Yeah.
And and again, just, for example, if you have a business, for, just using this as an example, if you have a business that is making a lot, decent money, let's just say that you do $50,000 worth of work this month, but $25,000 of it is billed through a company, or that, it's billed to one client, right? They've got 10 side-by-sides.
Yeah.
And you do all the maintenance. So they do all the oil changes. It's great arrangement for you. It's a good arrangement for them. And you just, so everything's great, except they pay you 30 days out. Hey, it's Made by Jim Bob is in the house. How are you? How are you, Jim Bob?
Or even then, it's actually not really until like 45 days, because at the end of the month, you give out the invoice and then they cut you a check or a wire transfer based off that money.
Yeah. And some companies are better about it than others. Some guys, the minute they get the invoice, they cut you a check, it's done. Other companies, they wait till the last day. So if you give them 30 days, it's going to be 30 days.
Yeah.
When they cut you the check, and then they'll mail it to you. So that's another 3 days. So you may not get your money. You may not get your money for some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very real thing in business, and a lot of companies, as you were expressing, a lot of companies don't know how to deal with it, can't plan for it, structure around it, and it's really hard to get them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that has to change if you want to be successful.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking under these contract terms is that the biggest issue that I see is that people will run down these side by sides until they need like major overhauls and repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is that generally people just don't know what exactly is a problem. They don't think about, it's like, oh, that little creak that's going on in your back end, your bushings are going out. You probably need to do something about it. So I would probably set up contract terms in the sense of like every vehicle gets like a one-time inspection per month.
Sure.
Or it's like once it gets the oil change, filter change, really basic stuff, and an inspection, and that's baked into the contract cost per month. And if we ever detect anything that's actually majorly wrong, and then that's where we go into the secondary tier of being like, okay, well, here are our repair costs per service, in some sort of like fixed price of based off the hourly and the cost of the part, which we have a lot of data on. So we should be able to market that, and we would just keep that rotation. And if they don't keep up on their inspection per month, and we'd actually physically call them to remind them, then we charge a penalty. We charge an extra fee if it ever comes in for major repair.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I think that, but again, when you're dealing with a lot of smaller companies, a lot of times it just takes a lot of work for them to get there. But part of that reason is because they don't understand how to use the tools they have in business to actually do business, right? Mm-hmm. Like the way that you deal with having to float, and that's what I and I think pretty much everyone calls it. when you're dealing with a float, right? And let's just say that your average float for a month for your boss is like 50 grand, right? That means that they're going to get it back, but they have to have at all times 50,000 on hand every month to pay the bills.
Yeah.
To make sure the employees get paid, to make sure the rent gets paid, the lights stay on, buy materials, all of that. And that's a very low amount, but we'll just use that. It's a nice number. If you don't do that, you're really in trouble.
Yeah. So I think there is some sort of float calculated in the business currently, because whenever we do jobs for some customers, it takes them a month before they come and actually like pick up their bills, and sometimes their bills are like 3-4 grand. So there's got to be some level of float there, because half of the cost is essentially the parts, or it could be a little bit more than that. And that's where it's like there's such a divide, because it's like he doesn't want to release his financial information, which is understandably that is his right. But at the same time, I can't ever issue out a perspective of like how we should be running the business based off the ins and outs of that cash flow. Like I could only guess. Like I could look at the invoices that come in and have like a calculated base on that. But again, I really don't know what he's doing in his spending habits, and I think that's the biggest key.
Well, let me read it. $2 comes in from Imperious. Are we not men? And Raging Patriot had a lovely Christmas with I don't know. It's Imperious being Imperious. Reloading troll ready to fuck your shit up and hit the dislike button. Probably not. We usually don't have trolls in. The Raging Patriot. Did he fire back? Not really. So anyway, yeah. So that's all good. No, you're right. And what a lot of shops do is they want to be paid for the parts up front before they start on work. And then, shops that don't build daily, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that you've got, or it's going to be a long-term project. Like I used to, when I had a long-term project and I knew that this client, I knew for a fact, beyond a doubt, that, and there's no way that it was going to go any other direction. But when I knew that I was going to end up, that this whatever vehicle was going to sit in my shop for 6 months, all parts had to be paid for up front, period.
Yeah. We do that to some degree. It depends on the situation. Yeah,
all parts had to be paid for up front, and then I build them bi-weekly, and the bills, they had 30 days to pay the bill, but the bill is payable upon receipt. So when they got the bill, technically it was due right then when they got it, and they just had a 30-day grace period. And that kind of helped out, because a lot of people, when they see that, payable upon receipt instead of payable upon demand, it changes the way they think about things.
Yeah.
It's almost a subconscious thing. Not as much anymore, unfortunately, times do change and people don't even understand what that means anymore.
I think what's unique about the side-by-side and motorcycle shop is that most of our residential customers, I would call them, which only have like one side-by-side, one motorcycle, they essentially see that motorcycle or side-by-side as just kind of like a side hobby. So they don't care if it sits there for like a month or two. Whereas if we were to go more the contract route and build our relationships with more of like the industrial areas, that they need those side-by-sides in and out like the same day kind of thing, even though we can't guarantee that, but that's the preference from them.
Well, or you need to have loaners.
Yeah.
And so so this sounds a lot like when I took over the paint and body shop, right? So that when I took over the paint and body shop, the guy that owned the paint and body shop was a nice guy. And he made some money. He didn't make a lot of money. And his biggest problem was he never went after any contracts. He He really liked, get the car done. The guy, people come up and pick up the car and drive off. He liked insurance work, but he never really like courted the insurance companies in a proper way. And so when I took that business over, this sounds like a lot like your buddy. The first thing I did was I went around and I hired, and I think I've said this before, I went around and I hired top producing salespeople from other companies. And the reason for that was those people know how to sell, and they know the right way to do it. So, and I hired one of the top service writers, because we're selling, your entire profit in that business comes from the service tickets that are written. All right, so $5 Australian, which is like Monopoly money, but we'll take it. Imperious, that must have been why they were at my place. We had some fun, but none of your business. That was supposed to stay private. Just White being a little cheeky. This fine morning. It's probably midnight for them. So what I did is all of your profit, everything really depends on how much money you're making from each ticket. So if you have a service writer that doesn't know his ass from his hand, he's not going to be able to do that. Like his ticket's just going to be based off the customer complaint and whatever the mechanic tells him, and you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
You just are. So what I found to be the better method of doing this was to, I hired a fantastic service writer. I mean, a guy that absolutely, he knew cars. He knew what they needed. He knew how to make everything work. He was great at it. And so, I knew that the tickets were right, and he also knew how to talk to the clients and the customers, and say, well, it could be that we think it's going to just be this, but it could be more. There could be more, and so that's how you make a lot of money. So, but when you're dealing with an insurance company, you do the whole repair. And sometimes you'll get the check up front. Sometimes you get the check at the end of the job, but sometimes you might not get a check for 90 days. All the employees got to be paid. All the parts got to be paid. And so one of the more important aspects of being able to do that was able to have lines of credit with my suppliers, having a buffer of cash available to, pay payroll and all of that, but mainly, having the two key people to the real growth is kind of what you're talking about becoming for him. And that is a service advisor and the sales guy. And the sales guy went around to he went around to his entire job was not to be in the
not in the office.
Yeah, he was in the office estimating stuff. That was the service writer's job. The sales guy's job was to go to Enterprise, Budget, Penske, Six, all of them, all the rental car companies, and say, hey, when you have something happen to your car, send it over. We'll take care of it. Here's our terms. This is what we do. Come by and visit the facility if you want, whatever. And his job was to go to the Department of Transportation. Hey, you've got a bunch of cars. You got a bunch of trucks. We understand you've got bad drivers and things happen. Whatever you need, we'll bring it in, take care of it, build a city. Same thing with the airport. Same thing with basically any fleet we talked to, and we wanted to get their business. And we did. We got a lot of it. We had basically every rental car company and insurance company. We were on all of their list.
So this is valuable insight because it already identifies my role. I know for a fact I'm the service writer.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what my main job was, is that I would estimate projects, I would keep track of parts and hours used, and I would seek deposits from customers. And of course, I did have mechanic roles, but that was just so I could understand like what parts go where and what are like some troubles that could happen. Like if I'm going to be like if I'm going to replace like a sealed bearing on a crankshaft, there actually may be like another gasket on like the head that I need to replace as well because of the access, things like that.
Right.
So now it just looks like that I would probably just need one sales guy, and I can handle the finances myself, and I could just roll up a business right then and there because I know my boss, all he wants to do, he just wants to do the labor. Like he would be absolutely happy if you just hand him the job, hand him the parts, and he just goes at it, and he would be happy all day. So I think this is some good insight.
Yeah, and I think the sales guy really has to be one. Whoever handles the interaction. You could call him a corporate manager, you could call him whatever, but he's basically the guy that goes around to all the farms, all the trucking companies, all the businesses, all the that have side by sides, golf carts, small engine stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And says, hey, you got a fleet of 20 golf cars here, or you've got a fleet of 10 side by sides and a couple of small tractors, and maybe like a high jet or something like, a cake truck or something like that. You know what? We can take care of all of that for you. And if it's going to be repaired for longer than, if it's going to be in repair for longer than 20 days, we'll probably have a loaner. We can't, obviously, if you got a fleet of 30, I can't loan you a whole fleet, but if you've got 2 down, I can at least loan you 1 so that you're not down two vehicles. And you will be surprised at how much that small thing will matter. And you only have to keep 4 or 5 loaners on hand, right? Which, and they don't even have to be that. They just have to work and be clean.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing for what you're talking about, right?
Okay.
And so if you want to go after that, especially if again, corporate farming, whatever, I don't know who else, Department of Wildlife, those kinds of guys, anybody that's using those things, they're going to have somebody that they already have an account with, but you're going to have to be able to go in and say, well, you know what? I know you already got somebody, and I know they're already fixing them and probably doing a really good job. Here's the thing. If you're really going to depend on somebody, first of all, we can't put you to the head of the line. We'll just be honest with you. We're not going to lie to you. We can't put you to the head of the line every time you walk in. Best we can offer is, if it's going to be longer than a week, we'll see about getting you a loaner. If it's, and that may, and doing the loaner program could, blossom into kind of a used side-by-side sales as well.
Yeah. This is, I see a lot of opportunity for the business. I would say one strong point is we do have a good relation with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, right out by the lake. So they do send us work. It's usually like low budget work, and I'm not necessarily sure if it's because they don't have the money, or they never tried to get more money for these repairs, or if they're just unaware of all the services we're able to offer.
They may not know. A lot of times when you're dealing with people who, when we're dealing with people who only operate them and they don't own them, they don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I can chime in here for a minute, because on my second contract, I switched out of Marine Corps into Army, and I was in the engineers. I was a 12 November, and in terms of like mechanic work, they only have limited personnel, and they do outside contracting a lot because they're, when it comes to like the officer side of things, they might get a what do you call it, a deadline for something, and rather than because a lot of these guys are still learning, so they could take the time and do it themselves. But they're like, if it's something they know that they're like, hey, we got to get this done by a certain date, they might just go F it and then be like, we need help on this one, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense because that's been all the projects. It's like, hey, we need this on a tight deadline. Can you get it done within the week, kind of thing. So that is consistent with all the deals that we're getting with them.
Yeah, I just think that you just really have to, if you're going to go after, if you're going to be an, if you want to go from a small shop to a larger shop, you either have to add capacity, which is a lot, and you have to, Raging Patriot gifted memberships. He won, gifted a membership, and Are We Not Men was gifted that. How about that? How neat. That was funny.
That's convenient.
That is very interesting.
That'll upset Imperious.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, yeah. So on the shop, it's like I definitely think of like the future to be like, hey, it would be really awesome to have like a race team or something like that. And
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
yeah, but plain and simple, I also don't want to abandon what is working.
Yeah, never do that. Yeah, you never go backwards to go forwards.
Yeah, so the only way I could really see it is like, okay, let's get this current business up and running and actually turning profits, and then once we figure out if we have the extra time, maybe venture into a side hobby of like a race team or something. And there's nothing wrong with like taking a break on it and just doing something to make yourself successful first.
Okay. What? So that's all interesting stuff. I think that if you're going to do, again, you either are you're a big business and you just have a large following and a lot of technicians and you just churn through work, or you have contracts and you have a reasonable number of technicians and you churn through work. And having enough people to do the job so that you don't have work sitting around, it's this razor's edge with any kind of industry where you're doing mechanical work, of having not enough people or having too many people.
Yeah.
And
I definitely want to comment on that. So that's another big reason why that I want to be more involved in the finances, because simply put, my boss, he's not up with the times, and the pay he's offering for mechanics is just crap. It's like I think about the impression that it's like on the invoice we're charging upwards of 160 an hour, and the mechanics only getting paid like 20, 25. It's like okay. So where is all the money going? And honestly, I think all the money's going into his tools. I think that's where it's mostly going.
well, and sometimes that's not a bad thing, right? Like,
not necessarily.
You have to have tools to be able to do the job.
Sure.
And you have to have the right tools to do the job. And it's an interesting. You just have to do it.
Yeah, I just think that I can figure out a way to turn much larger profit so we could actually get more hands in there at a reasonable pay. So we don't have to settle for the crack addict, that may not show up on a Friday.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think so. I also think that you're going to have to hang. All right, so you also have to decide whether you're going to be a hobby shop, sole proprietorship. You're just doing it to make enough money to get by, and that's it. Or you can be a legit business.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a legit business. You're no longer looking at, you're no longer looking at what you're you're no longer looking at it as the technician gets paid $20 but we bill $100, so we got $80 of profit built into there. What you're really looking at is you're looking at your total cost, your EBITDA, your cash flow. You have to make that transition to where it's a real business.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's not a business that's not worth anything, right? Because all it is a rented building with some tools and a few employees. It's not a business. A business has, proper accounting, lines of credit, proper structure to some degree, assets, contracts, and good accounting where you can show where all the money came in and all the money went out, and you have to make that decision. I operated for a long time as a hobby shop because I didn't want to. Well, first of all, I just wanted to. But once you start employing people, right? Like if I buy this company in Knoxville, right? There are 16 people that work for that company that pays for their family, right? That it is their real job. It's not a hobby for them. They go to work to make a living, and there has to be work there for them to make the living. Matter of fact, one of the employees has retired out, but his son works for the company, and that guy's son is apprenticing with the company over the summer, and there's two other employees whose their kids are coming in to work for the company. So it's you either decide that you're going to build a business and a real business and do it, or you can be a hobby shop and there's nothing wrong with being a hobby shop. There really isn't, but you have to make that determination because there are totally different ways in how you approach the business most of the time. Can you become a real shop and still be a hobby shop? Yeah, I'm sure you can. I haven't found that to be true.
So I think that's the dividing factor is that my boss, he's definitely running it like a hobby shop.
Yeah, I can tell.
And I want to run it like a business because I want to see that growth in cash flow. It's like I want to see it grow and continue to grow.
Well, I mean, you think about, let's just say that, let's just do some rough numbers right now. I'm going to try and do this in my head, but you feel free to back me up using your computer. So if you're going to do, let's say you have a technician that does 40 hours a week at $100 an hour, right? That's $4,000 a week, $16,000 a month. And now you have, and that's just labor, no parts. And you're going to do, and let's just say that you average about $300 in parts per ticket, or not ticket, but hold on, let me rephrase that. So for every hour, so if he's doing 40 hours worth of labor, you're probably doing if you're billing $100, you're probably 50% in parts, right? So if you're doing $16,000 a month in labor for that guy, he's doing $8,000 a month in parts. So you're at 24,000, right?
Yeah.
The math still works. Yep. Okay. It's 24,000 for that one guy, and you have 4 guys in the shop, right? So let's just call it an even $100,000, right?
Okay.
So you got $100,000 going through your shop every month. Out of that, you got rent, you got your workman's comp. If you're doing that, a lot of hobby shops don't actually pay any of this stuff because they're small enough to kind of get under the radar. Some do, some don't.
I was 1099.
Yeah. So yeah, guys are doing 1099s or whatever. So, but let's just say that you're definitely going to be paying rent unless you own the building. You've got electricity, water, internet. Let's say that you have $10,000 in fixed cost, right? So you have $5,000 in rent, $5,000 in utilities and other bills, right?
Okay.
Call it good. Okay. So out of $100,000 in generated revenue, you've got $10,000 coming out of it for facility. Now you're going to obviously, that parts rate at 50% of parts, only X amount of that's profit. So, but I don't know what people, some people profit about 30% on parts. It's hard to say. Some people only do 20. Hard to say. But let's just say that round number, you're going to do 30%. So if you do 30% in profit, that means you need to take 20% off the top. So your 100,000 quickly becomes 80,000, quickly becomes 70,000. Now you got to pay your employee. You're paying him $20 an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
$20 an hour, 40 hours a week, $800. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so $1,600 a month. No, $3,200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at 70,000. You pull that, you're out of that employee has made you $20 an hour. You're gonna pay him. My screen just went blank. You're paying him $800 a week. $4,000. Just call it $4,000 a month.
Okay.
So now you're at 66,000, right? That should be your. Now you've got your building insurance and whatever else. So you're gonna. It adds up really quick, right? Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, we had to times that by 4, so it's he's right, 64,000 on labor.
Yeah.
So $64,000, you're left with $2,000 a month after you paid for everything.
Yeah, and pretty much that would be $2,000 that I wouldn't want to spend anyway. Probably just put back into the business.
Right. You probably spent $2,000 in lunch, dinner, and after work beers.
Yeah.
So, so you're operating at zero profit.
Yeah.
I did say that, Ghost. You're right. I did say that. I made a mistake.
So
I still think I made a mistake, but it's okay. We'll just use this as a number.
So I think the point that you're trying to get towards is that it's not about looking at a direct correlation between the invoiced labor cost to the labor cost of the individual, but instead you have to look at the whole as like their units of per month. Each employee is a unit that you have to pay for the month, across the board. So month you have to determine the month profit in versus expenses out. It's so I'm kind of getting the concept here.
Yeah, if you're gonna try and operate as a hobby shop, you can do that for a long time, right? Because you can always, the owner picks up a few jobs and then he's making $5-10 a month, putting in his own pocket, right? But his employees still have to get paid. But what almost always happens is, in this case, and I don't know that this has happened to your guy yet, but he'll get 2 or 3 employees, but then he finds that he really can't afford them. So he can't ever give them raises. He can't give them bonuses. He can't give them the things that they can get elsewhere. So they work for a short time. They like it. They love it. They like him. They like the work. But then they got to think about their family.
Yeah.
And they move somewhere and they go and they leave. They go to another job that is set up as an actual business that can pay them what they need to be paid.
That happened a few times. Yes.
So I don't even have to know your situation to understand everything there is to know about the business, because I've seen it, I've done it. And, you need to, first of all, you've always got to make sure your labor rate is in line, right? Like I was the highest for a long time. I was the highest per hour repair shop in Denver. Private. BMW, the dealership at BMW paid $10 or charged $10 more an hour than I did. Everybody else was at $75. I was at $115.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for that. Mainly because I paid my guys well. My guys did an exceptional job in the race shop and the mechanic shop. And there wasn't any reason to not pay them that. Because when you have really, really good guys, they can really go anywhere they want. And so I needed them to be there. And because I charged so much, I could pay my guys and I could pay the company and maintain the company so that those guys always have a job and we could expand and do other things. So you have to break it down into every single piece. Look at it. Look at what you're going to do per year. Look at what you're going to do per month. Break it down to the per hour if you have to, and then really make some hard, tough decisions.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the decision that's the hardest to make is bringing in a professional accountant to look at your books, to make sure that you're deferring taxes properly, that you're counting your, the things that you can write off are being written off properly. All of the things that tax guys live and breathe. That's what you need. That's generally the first step. Get a guy in, get an accountant in, get a tax guy in, go through the books, get the books tightened up.
So I think I would probably be the accountant initially to start, because I know how to do that kind of math. It's I've been doing it when I was a software engineer, or a contractor, just doing like side hustles. But I also know that as business progresses, I'm not going to be able to do it on alone. So there'll be a replacement spot down the road.
Most of the time, a good accountant shouldn't cost you a dime. They should make what you pay them in a year in money that you would have spent without them.
Okay.
Not always, and the good accountants are worth every dime you pay for them. But you always want to get your books tightened up first, and you need to and then you need to seriously consider, like so it sounds like the business that you like and the owner that you like, and what really needs to happen is either there needs to be a partnership in place with a managing partner and an operational partner, right? So
Yes.
a managing partner would be the guy who runs everything, make sure all the bills gets paid, gets through, make sure all the taxes are being done right, make sure all of that stuff is done right. The operational partner would make sure that the work actually gets done.
Yeah.
Life is a lot easier when everyone understands their job.
For sure.
Right. If you're doing too many jobs and you really don't even know which job you're supposed to be doing, things don't get done well. But when you know your job, when I know that my job is to manage this, like if I take over this company in Tennessee, if I take over that company, initially I will be the manager. I will run it more or less day to day. I don't have to, because there are guys there that understand the processes way better than me. But I will be the guy making sure the money gets spent in the right places, and that the right number of people are hired, the right number of people are fired, and we get everything cleaned up, slim down, and ready for more growth. And then we'll make sure that growth happens. I have two people that are going to handle the operations. That means the selling and the quoting and selling, and the actually making sure people get to the job sites. Those are two very important people in this.
I gotta bolt out. I gotta get rolling. But
okay,
I'm
sorry, Mister. We went way off the political today.
No, it's cool. I just had a question real quick before I bounce off. Are you doing debate panel tonight, or?
I don't. There was something I was going to do tonight, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't hopped on anything since the other day. Like,
okay. Because usually you do a debate panel on Monday, so I was just. Oh wait,
Monday,
it isn't Monday.
Yeah, do that every Monday, but I don't have anything to do on Thursday. I thought about maybe doing some airplane stuff tonight. I don't know. I'll have to see what's going on. My kids are still out of school, so that helps. But it's we'll see how it works out. I see Beaten Cheeks is back. That's good. We always need him in the chat. But,
well, Mister, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Yeah, you too.
and
Yeah, Merry
stay
Merry
safe
Christmas,
out there.
Happy New Year. Yeah, all of that. So,
All right, guys.
yeah, but all right, have a good trip, Mister, wherever you're driving today. And he's gone. Yeah, so Ticky Tack. I kind of forgot where I was, but you really. It sounds like you need either yourself or someone else to come in and act as the managing partner, and the other guy to be the operational partner, and
Mhm.
be a true partnership where he sees all the money and where it's going, you see all the money and where it's going, and you just keep keep moving forward. And investments will have to be made. You'll have to invest in equipment. You'll have to invest maybe in real estate at some point. Whatever.
Real estate is going to come up because the lease on that building goes out at 2030, and
Mhm.
I guarantee they're not going to release, or it's going to be expensive as crap.
Yeah.
The reason being is that I think there was a Samsung manufacturing plant that just built up, and they bought like half of the industrial park just to use as storage.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and yeah, it's going to be a complicated measure, but I'll deal with it when that comes up.
Yeah, well, you got to start preparing for it now, right? Like anything you want to do in 5 years, you needed to have started last year,
Okay,
right? So
good to know.
because it takes time. It's just like buying this business. It's not like I actually I told Kevin this earlier today. It's not like I write a check and I pick it up tomorrow like a used car. It's this is going to take 6 months. And like if you're going to buy a business, there's so much to go into when you go to buy a business, right? Like the first thing you got to do is you got to get the books. First of all, you got to get the NDA signed so that you don't have people running around talking about your business and you're not running around talking about theirs in in specific terms. Even like some of them are really like hardcore. Like you can't even talk about location or anything.
Mhm.
But the at the end of the day, you've got NDA. You start with NDAs, then you'll do like a letter of intent. The letter of intent usually comes along with an exclusive period, which means that they're not going to consider any offers other than yours while you pay to go through their books. You're going to
Yeah.
pay somebody to do a Q of E, a quality of earnings, and go literally just make sure that what they say they're earning and where the money is being spent is actually being spent there. Because for all you know, they've got 10 cousins' names on payroll that everybody gets a paycheck, but all the money is going, back to them.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing it for tax, for a tax write-off or something like that. So, so you do a Q of E, you do an actual accounting. Generally have to do at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 site surveys where you actually go out and look at the facility, look at what they have, verify that, if they say they've got 10 trucks, I want to go look at all 10 of them.
Mhm.
I may want to drive 2 or 3 of them. Right. Just because, this is real money. There are guys that literally lose everything they've ever had in life because they went into a deal on a business and fucked up.
Yeah. I would say that's one of the bigger things that's hanging in my head is the risk factor.
Mhm.
And that is the biggest leap that I'm going to have to make is deciding when I will quit my job here and invest wholly into the shop. So I understand taking that step. It's going to be a difficult one.
Yeah, again, at some point you really have to make a decision to be a real business. Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're running, your buddy's running a hobby shop. He's just kind of doing it by himself. And how many guys work there? Is it just him or him and a helper or what's he got?
It's so he usually has a second guy next to him. Right now that is It's a guy at the dealership I knew really well. He's now doing race suspension for motorcycles. He rented his own bay, so he probably helps out. There's usually a guy on the phones, just answering, running invoices, all that kind of stuff. And every once in a while, he'll have kind of like a small helper that goes around, sweeps things, move things, cleans up the ATVs, things like that. So
Yeah.
that's about it. There's usually three
This is
guys.
really a hobby shop. This is really a hobby shop. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
you don't really, like, yeah. So yeah,
The thing is, the guy that does the race suspension, I guarantee he'd be very interested in turning this into a large scale business.
Mhm.
He's young. He's building his connections and his relationships. He has some good connections with the dealerships, even on the corporate levels. So I think he would be a valuable asset to have around.
Okay. I mean, so this is really a lot like when I bought the paint and body shop, except he had like 20 guys working for him and was somehow eking out a living, like barely. Like it was really bad. But it's still kind of the same thing, right? Is you're really not making a ton of money, and it's really not long term. Long term is not really viable.
Yeah, and simply put, the boss is going to want to retire eventually. It's like he's trying to plan ahead for his retirement. I see him that he's eventually going to turn into one of our visitors, Billy. He was a motorcycle mechanic for Yamaha for his entire life since the 70s. He recently passed away a couple years ago, but he'd always hop into the shop just to like tinker with things. He would listen to engines, tune carburetors. I want him to become that guy that just shows up every once in a while, tinkers and has some fun, gives some good advice, and then just say, "Have a good day, everyone." That's ultimately where I want him to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that you're going. First of all, I would. What part of the country you guys in? You're in the north somewhere.
No, I'm in Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas.
Yeah,
Damn.
so I'm in a place
Power
called
sports
George.
shop in Texas ought to be like cranking it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Especially with what are they called? They're blanking my head, but there are those racing side by sides or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. It's like we have quite a few of those that come in, and they're big money. It's like people will drop like $100,000 on these things just to get like the
Dude,
tuned turbos, the
I don't know
suspension, all
anybody in
that.
Texas that doesn't have a side by side. There you have, and I mean, they use them for farming. They use them for shooting. They use them for just driving out in the field. I mean, that ought to be a power sports shop in Texas ought to be just killing it.
Yeah, we're right on that border between like Austin and the country and the farmlands. So we get like the motorcycles from Austin, and we get the side by sides from the north, running the farms, or just people having fun going and shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that if that is the case, then um I'd say that you need there first of all, I would look for some real estate that's affordable. Um and look at building a building or buying buying a metal building somewhere
Yeah.
on some land. Outside of Austin, there's a rally sport or a rally cross track called what does she call that? Let's see.
Is it a rally project? No, I don't think
Um,
that's it.
I think
There's Circuit of America. I know that.
yeah, so there's Brienne Corn. She had a rally cross track. I'm trying to think of what she called it. It's like man, what is that called?
There's Lone Star Rallycross.
Think that's it. I think that's it. So Brienne Corn is was a friend of mine. I haven't seen her in a number of years, but she's really cool, and she's done Pikes Peak. She's done a lot of cool stuff. But she had this rally,
Cornfire.
huh?
Cornfire. Does that? It's in the email. That's
Brienne.
Oh yeah, Brienne Corn Raceway.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is it.
yeah, that's her. Why did I go all out of focus again? I don't know what's up with my camera today.
It might be the lighting.
I think it is definitely has to do with the lighting, but it shouldn't because the lighting. Yeah, there we go. How about that? It has to do with when I turn my head away, it tries to it tries to look for my eyes and it can't find them, but
Mhm.
it shouldn't. I thought I had that turned off, but whatever. Yeah, so there's I mean, I think they do rallycross for the side by sides as well. So, and they had a building. I don't know if they were leasing that land or what, but she would be somebody that would be she knows the area. She would be somebody that you could maybe reach out to. Now, obviously, I don't know how much interest she has in side by sides, but definitely, she's someone that is tied into the community.
Okay. Yeah.
And you may reach out and just say, hey, you know, what do you? I'm affiliated with this side by side shop, and we're trying to maybe make something new happen, and you know, but I don't, and she may not be a good resource anymore. I know she's been traveling a lot more, and she got into sailing and some other stuff, so she may not be a good resource anymore. But I know some people around Austin, so I could maybe reach out and see what I can come up with. But
Yeah.
I would think that it would be fairly easy around there to find some reasonably priced land to that already has a steel building on it, or to put a nice steel workshop building, and then just make it happen.
Yeah. I think
maybe-
I might know some people as well.
It might not be something that happens in the next year or so, because you got to clean up your books, you need to get some money together, and that sort of thing. But it's either something you're going to do for a long time and you put time and effort into it, or it's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think this was a great conversation. Definitely got a lot of valuable advice out of you, and I appreciate having your perspective.
Yeah, it's no problem. I think it's always interesting. I'm more about buying than building businesses these days. As a matter of fact, if you can find a power sports business for sale, maybe consider just buying an existing business, and walking in day one, without having to do all of the pain, without undergoing all the pain.
Yeah,
Because-
I don't think I would have that kind of money though.
I mean, you think, but it's so your typical small. Let's just say that you're going to buy a small business that's they're wanting $500,000 for it. Well, you really only need 10% for an SBA loan, as long as the financials hold up. If it's 100,000, 500,000, $1 million, so it'll be a 10-year loan. That's the sucky part. And there are very certain things that make it SBA, viable.
Okay.
But with SBA, you put 10% down, and the seller puts 10% in. So if it's $1 million business, your actual loan's only $800,000.
Okay.
Because you're going to put in 100. Seller's going to put in seller's going to finance you 100. Usually, you should try and tie the seller's note to performance base, so that if they tell you that it's going to make $300,000 a month, and it's going to do $100,000 a month in cash flow, then when you go to if you're only making $50,000 a month in cash flow, well, that's a problem. And
Mhm.
you would not pay the seller's note until those metrics were hit. So if the business needed to be built back up or whatever it was, whatever needed to happen, once it happened, then you would pay your seller's note. So there
I-
you need
I'll
to talk
admit,
to us. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll admit this is just going a little over my head.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's all right. Read about it. Go look up SBA loans. Understand all of this. You know, unfortunately, while we're not quite there yet, we're very close to the point in time where you're not going to go sell your truck, take the money, buy a welder, get a lease on a building, and go into business for yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's no longer something that happens very often. And it's unfortunate in a lot of ways, because I think there's a lot of really talented people out there that can do that. But we're just, the time has cut the what it costs to start a viable real business is so high
Mhm.
that it's crazy. It's crazy what it costs.
Yeah.
You look at a commercial lease in my area in Tennessee is $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And it's nuts, right? Like
Yeah.
power, internet, water, any kind of equipment. If you need special equipment, I actually looked at opening an engine business. I think there's a lot of money to be made in buying broken engines out of the junkyard, or just engines out of the junkyard for $200 or $300, $500, and rebuilding them. I think there's money to be made there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about performance based. I'm talking about literally take it apart. You measure everything. You machine what needs to be machined. You put new bearings in it. Put all new gaskets in it. Slap a 2-year warranty on it. You bring it in for $300. You put $300 in it. You sell it for $2,500 or $3,000. You make your money.
There's actually people doing that with side-by-side small engines.
Right. Yeah.
And we have a few contacts out that just do exclusively that. It's like we send them an engine core that they could figure out to rebuild, and they send us a refurbished engine.
Sure. There's money to be made in rebuilding engines right now. The problem is that it requires equipment, and the equipment is expensive.
Yeah.
And so if you're not somebody that has been a hobbyist for 30 years, just happens to have a gigantic mill and a line boring machine and all of these other things, well, it makes it tough. It makes it tough. So, and I actually looked into doing that. I still think that most businesses these days probably need to have some CNC capability in-house.
Yeah.
Because just if you need to wait on a part that you can make, or you can make a part that's specific to your shop, all the better. You can sell them. It's just another revenue. When the guys
I've
don't have
noticed
anything to do, when the guys don't have anything else to do, when it slows down in the winter, nobody's breaking any side by sides, and maybe you get a couple of broken axles because somebody went out in the mud or something. Of course, you're in Texas, that doesn't really apply. But here, when it really starts slowing down and people are just using their side by sides for deer hunting and stuff like that, and really not breaking them, well, turn out a bunch of parts.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing is that I see that idea of like a CNC being valuable because we've had instances where people would come in with like broken frames on like their Razor Speedsters, whatever. And the dealership would quote replacing the entire frame. But we're like, hey, we have all the equipment to rework the frame back in, and we just need to replace certain brackets that are on there and TIG weld them in. And that's where CNCs would become valuable, is making just those like not so generic brackets that we could just re-weld in and get the suspension running again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, I think that there's a lot of, I think you need to sit down and put, not back of the napkin, but you need to put ideas on a paper and all of that. I would, again, I'm more of I would rather, at this point, I mostly suggest people go buy a business. It's cheaper in the long run.
Yeah.
But building a business is not a bad idea either. Still going into business for yourself. There's nothing that is so rewarding nor so frustrating at the same time. Except maybe marriage.
I'm also young, so
Yeah.
I have the time to invest. So I'm okay with starting up a business.
Yeah. And I think that that's important. Like I just had this conversation this morning. I talked to a guy about buying a business. I don't think we're going to do it, but I had a phone call first thing this morning. I told, he's like, what's your interest? I said, well, I don't want to start a business again. I'm 53 years old. If I was 33, 100% fired up. Let's make it happen. Start my own gig, but not at my age currently. There's just no room in it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I definitely need to consolidate my ideas because I do have a lot of ideas. I even understand that. I wish I could do all of them. But it's about prioritizing what's most practical.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mikey Ball did a $250 beer stop. Brother.
Yeah.
It's not even New Year's, baby.
He's going to be sloshed all the way up to New Year's.
Mikey Balls might be having more fun than all of us. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all good stuff. I didn't see anybody else. I only saw that Imperious wanted to come up, and I wasn't really. I didn't want to slow down the other conversation, but how's
I'm pretty
everything
much
else going ticky tack?
It's I would say I'm enjoying my vacation because work has been absolutely nuts. I felt like I could never take a sick day. So now I'm able just to chill out, and lo and behold, I'm actually sick for this week. So it all just like
Are you really?
Yeah, I got bronchitis and it's been lasting for like a week. This sucks.
Yeah.
But I've still been keeping up on things. So I want to build an access point that's so powerful that it'll piss off my neighbors, and I can actually walk through my neighborhood and still have internet. So I want to start doing more like IRL streaming, going outside with my dogs, and bringing a camera along, and that's why I'm setting all this up. So I've been 3D printing a bunch of like nylon carbon fiber like brackets and stuff, so I could set them up outside to set up the antennas. I've been doing a lot of interesting stuff for this week.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. We'll see if there's a radiation cluster in your area. What's up, Flow State? Good to see you in the chat, brother. Good to see you. I'm glad you're finally awake. Have we heard of parasocial relationship dynamics? Yes, I have heard of that. That's where you think you're involved with somebody that you're not, right? It's one-sided. You're just, like movie star, action figure, or whatever, media.
Yeah, I don't have much comments.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't have much to say about it because I don't deal much with dreamers. Mikey Balls used to do IRL fishing streams. You know what? I actually have reserved a fishing channel, but I don't like when I'm out on the water, dude. I'm just fishing. Like I don't care. I don't care about anything. Gonna do your next live on that topic. Interested rising issue. Is it a rising issue? I don't think it's a rising issue. Feels like an old issue, right? Tiki Tack, any input?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted for a moment. What was the question?
Parasocial relationships.
Yeah, I actually am unfamiliar with the term. I've heard it before, but I don't know what it is.
It's it's a one-sided relationship with like media figure. It's um groupie. It's
Okay.
groupie.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, you think you're in love with somebody. Could be media. It could be film. It could be comic book character that isn't even real.
Okay.
Aliens. You know, all of the people who think they're in love with aliens, those are parasocial relationships.
Okay. I definitely think that is on the rise for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, especially with growing social media, I just think it's the parasocial
What do you
relationships
think
are
the
happening on.
subject is on the rise?
Um, I don't think the subject is on the rise, but I could see some. I could see.
I think it's happening more because we are more and more disconnected.
But I think it would be an interesting topic that could go viral. So anybody who wants to talk about it, start talking about it.
They've expanded it to young kids and online relationships. Most people now don't even have a relationship in real life before turning 20. That's not new. We used to have pen pals, imaginary friends.
Yeah.
People used to write to Santa Claus and Superman. People used to literally send letters to Superman and Batman. Matter of fact, I think every TV show used to have a send letters here at the end of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Literally, like after every single show, there would be like a spin-off ad right there. It'd be like, oh, if you'd like to talk to blah blah blah, send to PO Box blah 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 kind of thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Online dating. Online dating is so again, I say I just don't think this is new. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably tapered off. You guys don't remember back in the olden days, like I do, people would have entire chat room relationships with people that didn't even exist, right? Like they were real people, but they would be like dudes masquerading as women. We call it catfishing now, but hanging out in these chat rooms. You guys don't remember the ASL thing,
I do. I
you remember
definitely
that?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and ASC 2. This is old. This is actually old news to me. Like I remember dudes that actually thought they were in love with some woman in England or some shit that they'd never met. No pictures, or they had a picture, but it was like obviously fake. And thanks, Mikey Ball. I was born in 71, brother. Thank you, though.
I do remember a lot of horror stories on that in just like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. It's a real thing. I think, if anything, I think it's less now because now with video, you basically can't even get someone to talk to you if you don't cam up. Like,
yeah, you might be right on that.
I think there's less now. I would say that. But that wouldn't be a parasocial relationship because there are two people involved. Parasocial is one person that has an unrequited lust or love for someone else.
Well, that's where where I was thinking of is there's a lot of online streamers now. There's a lot of people on social media where they have huge following base, and those followers could be engaging in a parasocial relationship where it's that's kind of where my thoughts was coming on the trend. But you might be right that it may be the same or like less than what it is in the past because of the more availability to have connections with each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic, right? So when we're talking about what I'm basically talking about is that you have, if you are in a relationship, even an online relationship, that's not parasocial. You're interacting with a real person. Parasocial is you believe that you're in love with this person and they don't even know you're alive.
Yeah.
And usually it's like a celebrity or a media figure or an action figure in a comic book or something. It's like there's nothing real about it, right? technically, if you want to get involved, if you want to get really technical, parasocial is the relationship that an audience has, right? So you would all those people who used to watch Dallas and lust over JR, they were in a parasocial relationship with JR
Mhm.
by definition. But all the people who you know watched Carmen Electra in the bikini, that was and thought that's my new girlfriend.
Mhm.
Actually, didn't Carmen Electra do a thing like "I'm your girlfriend" or "Everybody's girlfriend" or something like that? Wasn't that like her big claim to fame in the
I'm not
beginning?
sure.
In
I
the
think
bikini era?
I think that may be a little bit too far off from my age.
But Carmen Electra was hot. AI is the new thing. Yeah, I mean, I see AI could make it worse because now you're interacting with a machine that answers all your question like a human. So that I could see that.
Just imagine there's one machine that's an AI that's talking to many different men and
Carmen's
falling in
right.
love with
What's up,
them.
buddy?
Isn't that kind of like polygamy right there? Because it's one server that's talking to many men.
I like it. Now that's a good topic. Is AI dating 100 people at a time? Is that polygamy or not? That was good. I don't think we're talking about the same thing. I mean, no, I've not heard of a parasocial relationship in the family. Let me look at that. Let me look it up because I haven't heard of that. That would be super strange. So it says parasocial relationships within a family context can occur when one family member develops a one sided, intense emotional connection with another family member, similar in concept of a parasocial relationship with a celebrity or public figure. One family member might feel deeply connected with another while the other member, that's weird. Um, might be overly dependent. That we call that being codependent. We're just trying to, you guys are just trying to relabel things that already exist.
That sounds like a common trend now.
It does, right? Yeah, like
What
if
is a
you are
woman?
overly dependent or emotionally reliant on someone, you are what we call codependent, and you need help from a psychologist. Yeah, send me a link. Skynet, that's right. Carney's right. Good to see you in the chat, sir. We're kind of winding down a little bit. I got about 19 minutes left in the show. Is there anybody that I can plan on sending you poor folks to? Should I even look? I don't really want to, I don't want to be that guy, but I might have to be. Oh man, CT's going down that gematria lane again. That's terrible. That is just terrible.
So yeah, I think I'm kind of out of subjects to talk about here.
Are you really? I'm
Yeah.
never out of subjects to talk about. What do you think about the? Well, all right. Well, how was your Christmas? Let's start there.
This is the first Christmas where literally like nothing happened.
Really?
Yeah, it's I didn't have anything planned. I didn't care to have anything planned. I of course called my family, wished them a happy like Merry Christmas. But other than that, I just hang out and enjoyed some like sparkling cider, non-alcoholic, just lots of juice, lots of sparkling juice.
Gotcha. It's for me. This was the first holiday that we haven't traveled on the holidays in like years. Like years.
Yeah, that's usually a common event is that I would travel somewhere. My family in Florida, they went on a cruise line right before Christmas, so that was their event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. I we're going on a an Alaskan cruise, which I think is not smart this time of year, but
I'd
whatever.
try it. I
Yeah.
think that would be pretty cool to try out.
My wife was like, "Do you think we'll see polar bears?" And I'm like, "I hope we do not see polar bears." Like polar bears are mean, angry creatures. They're not fluffy, lovey. You know, they're not the Coca-Cola bear. They're literally like
Always hungry.
they're,
Always grumpy.
They eat people. Like
Yeah.
that's what they do. You know, like what do you know? Like I don't want to see a polar bear. That sounds horrible. I don't want to.
What about a moose?
Oh, I've seen moose. I've shot elk.
Neat.
I haven't shot a moose yet. I wanted to. I just moose. They're a hard animal to hunt. Like you would think for such a gigantic creature, it would be easy. But yeah,
They're all raw muscle. It's like that they can move quickly.
and they hide really well.
Yeah.
And they move like miles and miles a day. Polar bears are one of the most violent. Yes, they are. Like they don't need a reason. They just automatically choose violence, much like myself. And we can't have two of us together at one point because violence will be chosen. Let's see what we got here. I'm reading this now. PSR. They've even got a short. They've got it shortened down. Ticky tack. PSR. Parasocial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-dimensional constructs consisting of dimensions such as realism, attachment, and character personification, and human-like needs. How this is exactly what I said. There's not. It's all. It's just you fall in love with a comic book character.
It sounds like a definition a student in a sociology course would make.
It sounds like somebody's trying to sell something.
Yeah. They're trying to sell an ideology.
Yeah, where are we selling this? Yeah, PSRs with media characters. This is a research paper written by somebody who's theorizing that this is happening. They have no proof of it happening. They're theorizing it happens.
I can make theories too.
Yeah, it's even in the title. Parents' perceptions of their children's parasocial relationships, the Recontact study. This is one of the things that leftists put out to create something that needs treatment. So look out for drop bears. That's right. Wrongful Rage has got it. Koala bear outside his tree ain't pretty either. Yeah, that's the thing. Koalas look all fluffy too, and they're angry. They're just mean. They're pissed off for no good reason.
Well, think about it. They have sharp claws to like climb up trees all day. Imagine if they just leached out your skin, ripped off your arm.
Well, you got to think about how pissed off you would be if you were dragging your nuts against a tree all day climbing. Like that just seems like a bad. It seems like a bad. I'd be pissed off too. I'd be in permanent old man mode the entire time. I'd be like, "Go away from me, punk! I don't want balls hurt." It's been climbing this damn tree all day, eating leaves. I ran out of leaves on this tree. Got to climb that tree.
Yep.
What the hell? Damn it!
That's a hilarious take.
It is, but it's an accurate take, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's an accurate take. I'm not making fun of you, Just White. I think that leftists believe this is one of those things that leftists put out so that they can create a cure. It's very interesting.
Or give an excuse to affirm it.
Yeah. They can't just say turn the video games off. They have to give a reason why you need therapy so you can turn the video game off.
Can we all just say daddy didn't care enough? And that's the problem.
Daddy didn't care enough to bust your arse.
Well, you notice how it's like every single like mental element that they come up with, they explain it as the person was deficient in some sort of like social interaction, and when they get to the descriptors, it's like, oh, something like your dad would do. So it all just kind of turns back to, oh, did you like not have a father in your life?
I gotta ask, guys. You know, just what you might get away with this. You're in Australia. Wouldn't a much better subject be, is it abuse if your dad whips your butt when you truly deserve it? Is that abuse
No.
or is it punishment? I can't go too much further than that before we get into that TOS zone. Matter of fact, saying the word abuse might get me in trouble. But is it? I don't know. I don't think it is. Why do we have a problem with it? You know, if saying just wait till your dad gets home and meaning it, is that abuse? I don't know. You don't want me on that jury. I'm just saying. It's just.
I think of it almost in a biblical context, in the sense that our flesh is our beastly nature. And the way that we fight against our beastly nature sometimes comes down to more physical means. And if a child is misbehaving enough, they're essentially giving in to their beastly desires. So what is the appropriate response? A beastly response. And I think that's where you could kind of like find the balance in that. You're trying to fight the beast out of them.
I think it determines physical limitations, right?
Yeah.
So when you were young, I don't care what psychologists and psychiatrists really don't care what psychiatrists say, but really don't care what psychologists say about disciplining children, because you can't talk to a 4-year-old. A 4-year-old is a terrorist. Okay. They're literally speaking an entirely different language than you. They have an entirely different character than you. And they don't understand when you say put that down, they think you're joking.
Yeah.
Or they just don't care.
Yeah.
Because they've not been taught to care. So you must teach them to care. And then all is right with the world.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that's wrong with like psychology, is that they underestimate that kids are liars. It's like
they overestimate the intelligence of their audience.
Yeah, it's the thing is that they write in to act like you could talk to your child and they'll always speak truth, and it's like, no, they'll just speak whatever pops in their head. It's like
whatever lie they think is going to get them out of this, that's what they're going to tell you. Clovertac, Viking Paradigm, both in the house.
Yeah, it's
Clovertac comes in with corporal punishment is effective in a few ways. One, it hurts. Shocker. So you remember that shit. Second, it teaches the detachment of emotion from punishment, which is required for it to be just. Absolutely.
Great point.
That's excellent. Excellent. What did Viking say? Abuse is the improper usage or treatment of a person or thing, often unfairly, or improperly gain benefit. Yeah.
Another good point.
I go with that. That's a good answer. I like that. Toddlers are sociopathic. Yeah, they are. They're terrorists. I'm just telling you. Between the ages of 3 and 5, you're sharing a house with a terrorist.
Yeah, it's. I think I started wising up to the idea of like children lying is with my stepsister when she was like 7, 8 years old. And she would like cry a lot to like get attention from my mother, and my mother would baby her, and then my stepdad would be like, "Hey, quit doing that." It's like she's lying. It's like, don't listen to her. And as soon as my mom would start ignoring her, she would start throwing hissy fits and just being whiny and complaining about it. It's like, oh yeah, you're not actually hurt. You're just wanting attention. It's like, yeah, you were my stepdad absolutely called it out, and it's they just try to be manipulative at times, and not to say that you shouldn't listen to them all the time, but just take it with a grain of salt and evaluate the situation.
Yeah.
Should they be whiny or complaining at that moment?
Serene is in the chat. I need a lot of serenity myself. Mischievous, yes, children are mischievous. My kid is hilarious when he wants to be, but he is a terror. I mean, you just have to understand they're terrorists. That's all. They can be very nice, polite terrorists, but they're terrorists. Once you understand that you live in you live with a terrorist, your life improves by like a lot. So yeah, works out. And that works. That's how that works. So yeah. You're really truly done, huh?
Oh yeah, it's like I don't know why I'm falling asleep. I need some more coffee in my life.
There you go. Well, you're sick. You're a sick man.
That's very true. That's very true. I keep forgetting about that.
Well, give me your final thoughts for the day.
My final thoughts for the day is I'm really interested to see how 2025 comes out. It's like it could be for better or it could be for worse, but my hopes is that it's going to be for better.
Okay. All right. Good deal. I think it will be for better, honestly. Viking Paradigm says the left has been misusing the word abuse for years. It's nothing more than 1984 style wordplay, like 2 + 2 = 5. Men can be women if they want to, bad enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great show today. Mostly we've been talking business and money, which I like both of those things. We're gonna jet off here. I don't really have anywhere to send you guys to except my man, Chaotic Truth. He's doing some gematria stuff, which is it's interesting. Not that interesting, but it's interesting. And but we'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. They're really, they're talking about why didn't gematria predict the train crash. We'll see how that works out for him. The day today has been a lot about business. Tiki Tack, I think that you need to read a few books on business, or get on the internet, do some searching around, learn how to maybe take an online course, or watch a bunch of YouTube videos about all of the different aspects of actually running a correct business. For me, I've got a bunch of email here. Just like I've got to send out a request for a quote to a couple of contractors for some rental properties and a bunch of other stuff I've got to do today, which is not nearly as fun as talking to you guys. To everyone that donated, I really appreciate it. Got to keep the grift going. Hopefully it's going to be a great year for everyone. And we'll see how this all works out. We've got a lot of different, literally there's so much to talk about every day between the wars or potential wars and what's happening in Syria, all the political stuff here, all of the lies that are being exposed hour after hour. And, I don't have enough time. I can't sit here all day to talk about it. I would love to, and I probably need to pick up the pace of the show slightly to be able to cover more, but I like it the way it is. If you guys like it, please like, subscribe, comment. Please leave a comment on your way out. And we will talk to you guys later. For now, I'm going to leave you guys with Andrew Wilson laughing his ass off on whatever, and get off my lawn. And in the meantime, be cool. Wear glasses if you need them.
Yeah, I just answered your question. Can you tell me what epistemology means?
Epistemology is the study of the epistles. I mean, you can. This guy told me that a husband and wife is supposed to be the representation of God and the church. He said he's a husband. I asked him if he sees himself as the embodiment of God, and he said no. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what is the epistles?
The epistles are the apostles. Are you
I'm
talking
sorry.
about the